Humanity, I love you all with all my heart, with all my might. My videos are about love, infinity, creation. My notions are based on objective reality. I want to make this video, and this is a very profound video. It's a beautiful video, and it's based on a lot of heritage and history of humanity and who we are, and it's an idea that I have come to terms with after my understanding of infinity. So, but before diving into the video, I want to explain why we're infinite energy, infinite creation, infinite love. So, it all starts with a human heartbeat, you see? It all starts with a human heartbeat. And what the human heartbeat is and what it represents. Yeah, from a biological point of view, we are alive because of the human heartbeat. The human heartbeat gives us life. It's our biological creator. It generates an electromagnetic field around the human body that powers the body, powers the brain so we can think, be conscious and self-aware. And our organs function as a result. You see, the human heartbeat is the pulse of life, is the pulse of creation. And nature works in the most beautiful and poetic of ways, you see. So, it's telling us, the heartbeat, I'm giving you life, the instinct to live, the instinct to exist, which is a human heartbeat, so you can be alive, so you can love. Because we love with our hearts, and the heartbeat happens at the heart. So we live to love, and we love to live. It's beautiful. We live to love. Our nature is to love. We're a benevolent species. We're a heartful species. We're a beautiful, beautiful species, the human race. You know, we are light spherical beings. We're infinite energy because of our electromagnetic field. This is who we are. We're infinite creators. And we love to live because we love to have purposeful lives. We love to have purposeful lives. Beautiful, purposeful lives. That's what we love to have. That we want to be happy. We want to have meaning in our lives, fulfillment. This is what we want. We're purposeful. It's our nature, you see. And love is the mechanism of creation at the biological scale because we love with our hearts, and we create with our hearts. You see, we make love, we have children. You see, we're creating life by making love, and then our instinct is to love our children, so we raise them and they become great human beings. And then the life cycle continues, the cycle of creation. Our children become adults, and they themselves can have children and make love and create life, biologically speaking. But that's not the only creation that we love and create. We also create other things with our hands, with our minds. We have purposes. We're inventors. We've been doing it for thousands of years. This is what we have done here, the human race, for thousands and thousands of years. We have been inventing and creating and building and producing and developing technology, art, music, all sorts of things that we have created and invented as a collective, as a human race. Because this is who we are, you see, this is our nature. Our nature is to love, our nature is to create. It's beautiful. It's just beautiful. We are a beautiful species. And we are infinite because creation is infinity, you see, it's eternity, it's eternal, it's existence. He created the sun, and the sun has its own electromagnetic field. And then our heart has its own electromagnetic field, just like the sun is spherical in nature, just like the sun is an object that's spherical. Its electromagnetic field is spherical, just like our own electromagnetic field. Our eyes are spherical, our brains are spherical, our heart are spherical. The earth is spherical, and it has its own electromagnetic field that created the conditions for us to exist, biologically speaking, you see. So we all creators. It's all infinite energy. is beautiful, but at different scales of density, at different scales of creation. The sun creates at an astronomical scale with energy and rays and flares and beams. The earth creates at a terrestrial scale with support systems, the atmosphere, with the biosphere, with the biome and the ecosystems and the DNA, food, water, all these things supporting us. And then we are created, biologically speaking, because of the resonance of the human heart, the heartbeat, and the electromagnetic field that powers us. And the delivery system, the creation mechanism at the biological scale is the human heart, is love. We create with our hearts, we create with love. This is the delivery mechanism. See, we're a compass that's also spherical, with sundials that's also spherical. This is who we are. We stare at the sun, we open our hearts, we open our minds, open our eyes, open the portal, build the bridge. Our electromagnetic field in sync with the electromagnetic field of the sun, so we can communicate at the most beautiful of ways. And we sundials in that way. We get in sync with the Creator. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So let's talk about today's video. Is this a very powerful notion? Is this grounding belief? It's beautiful idea that we as humans have. So if you want to refer to the visual, you can go to the website and Substack and YouTube, and that's by going to y.how/infinite-tetragrammatons. That's y.how/infinite-tetragrammatons. I'd like to talk to you about what a tetragrammaton is and infinite tetragrammatons. So you see, this is an old idea. It has to do with the origin story of humanity from this idea that was developed in the Middle East a long time ago, that has formed into a beautiful culture that is prevalent on Earth today. It's a very important culture. Humanity, in a big way, has a big connection and origin and genesis with the Middle East and the Levant area, where this notion comes from, tetragrammaton. See, it's a mathematical notion. Tetra means triangle, three-dimensional diagram, a tetrahedron. Tetra is a triangle, is a geometrical figure. It's a geometrical space, solid. The tetrahedron, tetra means four sides. You see, the three-dimensional, just like the circle, 2D. The circle is just a circle in 2 dimensions, but when you make it 3-dimensional, the circle becomes a sphere. So it's the same notion. So a triangle in 2 dimensions, just like the circle, is just 3 little lines, right? The circle is one line connected in a circular manner, making it infinite, endless. And the triangle is just 3 lines intersecting, a equilateral triangle, 3 equal lines with 3 different angles. That's the triangle. That's why 3 angles, triangle. But in a 3-dimensional way, the triangle becomes a tetrahedron. Just like the circle becomes a sphere, the triangle becomes a tetrahedron. It's also known as a pyramid. But in reality, mathematically speaking, from a geometric point of view, solids, a geometrical space, we call it a tetrahedron, because tetra is the Greek word for 4. So the triangle is 3, but because you add the new dimensions, volume, which is space per se, from a 3-dimensional point of view, you're adding a new dimension, then you get volume, and then it becomes a tetrahedron because it has four faces, 4 equal faces. So you see, if you think of a tetrahedron, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4 faces. He has 4 faces. Tetra, 4. So that's what the tetrahedron is. He's 4 faces. 1, 2, 3, and 4 the bottom. So he adds volume to it. He adds substance. So it's like a sphere that comes from the circle from 2-dimensional to 3-dimensional. The tetrahedron is a triangle that has volume. So it becomes 3-dimensional. It's a solid, and it has 4 faces that are all equal. So that's the tetrahedron. And this notion of tetragrammaton comes from this idea of tetra, of 4 faces. So it's essentially the inverted triangle. So you have one tetrahedron facing this way and another tetrahedron inverted, and they meet, intersect in the middle, and it creates this solid star tetrahedron. It has all faces, all sides, all equal, because it's 4 and 4 makes it 8, and it forms this star. So it's called a star tetrahedron. It's another solid, and this has to do with the origins of the sphere, mathematically speaking. You see, creation itself is this notion. And then, the star tetrahedron is 2 tetrahedrons inverted. And if you think about it, is creation itself, is the polarity, the 2 poles. So inverted, you create motion and rotation, and you spin a star tetrahedron, and then it generates this angular momentum. It spins just like you would spin something on a table. You spin it, and when you spin it, then obviously that motion generates this electromagnetic field, and that electromagnetic field is spherical. You see, it's a sphere that generates around the star tetrahedron. And why? Because it's polarized, it's electromagnetic. You see, it's beautiful. It's this beautiful notion. And what's electromagnetism? Well, it's gravity. So that's what grammaton means. You see, tetragrammaton is the gravity of the tetrahedron. Why gravity? Because gravity requires polarization. You need to have electromagnetism, and for that you need 2 tetrahedrons. Because if you just take one tetrahedron, which is this 4-sided triangle, 3-dimensionally speaking, and you spin it, you can't really spin it because the base is on the ground. So when this is the base and you spin it, it's gonna move a little bit. It's not gonna have angular momentum. It's not gonna have torque. It's not gonna have spin. It's not gonna have this motion that just is what we call angular momentum in physics. It doesn't have angular momentum. But when you have 2 tetragrammatons inverted, and they meet and generate a star tetrahedron, which is a 8-sided figure, all 8 sides are equal, it's the union of the 2 tetrahedrons, you polarize it, and then you have electromagnetism. And because you have 2 points, right, because you have 8 points, but then it becomes like a star, right? Star tetrahedron with 8 sides. Now you can spin it because the surface is just, you can spin it, and it creates angular momentum. And that momentum you can map it, graph on a computer, and then that circle that's moving, that gravitational force, that spin, that angular momentum, the torque. As you see, as I move my finger, you kind of see like the ghost of it, it generates you see, I move my hands like this, and then it kind of it creates like a sphere type of thing. So the star tetrahedron does that. When you spin it, it generates a sphere, and it comes as a result of spin, which is gravity, electromagnetism. So you see, mathematically speaking, what this is telling us is that the sphere has its own structure. So the sphere, reality itself, has its own structure, its own organizing pattern of creation, geometrically speaking. And it starts with the star tetrahedron, and it has to do with the seed of life and the flower of life, which is this geometric figure that is essentially the mathematical expression from a geometric point of view of volume and space of infinity itself, the sphere, the circle, reality. Remember, we have an electromagnetic field that's polarized, energy that creates a heartbeat, so we're alive, we're conscious and self-aware. The earth spherical, the sun spherical, and they all have electromagnetic fields, polarized energy, right? An electromagnetic field is that. So, and the star tetrahedron is two tetrahedrons together, and so this is the full idea. Tetragrammaton. Grammar is gravity in Greek. Ton is like the impact of gravity. So it's telling us that spherical life, creation itself, electromagnetic fields comes from a star tetrahedron, inverted tetrahedrons, two tetrahedrons forming a star tetrahedron and spinning it, and it creates a sphere. So because of motion, because of electromagnetism, because of the polarization, and this is what electricity is, energy is creation. You see, in reality is creation, is energy. So it's telling us right there that spin, energy, angular momentum, electromagnetism, electricity that powers the human body, that is a result of motion. And the geometric representation comes from the star tetrahedron. So this culture, this ancient knowledge in the Levant, designed this notion of this tetragrammaton, and they define it as the creator. You see, this ancient culture, this heritage of planet Earth, defines the tetragrammaton as the creator, the infinite creator that created everything. Right? It is a beautiful idea, then starts to make sense. It's mathematical expressions through geometry. It's all based on objective reality. You see, the seed of life, I have spoken about it, what it is, the zygote. You see, it's the polarization to, biologically speaking, how do we create life? Well, human sperm and the human egg comes from what? Making love to humans. Polarization, the female and the male together, polarization. You come together as one and create life, which is this motion of making love, and biologically speaking, is a heartbeat, right? The zygote generates into many cells, the human embryonic development that turns into the seed of life, the zygote, and then that generates a heartbeat eventually. Once it reaches critical mass, enough cells come together, and then the human body is created. You see, so creation itself, tetragrammaton. This is a very ancient idea, very ancient. It comes from the Middle East, it comes from the Levant region, this notion of tetragrammaton. So it's infinity, it's creation, it's a creator, eternity. But we know that we are infinite ourselves. This is why I decided to call it infinite tetragrammatons, because we're infinite energy. And if you look at the visual is us, the body, the human body with the heart full of energy, our infinite energy, or spherical light being. Because that's what tetragrammaton is energy. You see, it's polarized energy. It's electromagnetism, is our spherical light being, is our life of creation, is our electromagnetic field, just like the suns and the earths. So it's coming together. So we are infinite because we're part of infinity. We're just a biological expression of infinity, and we create with our hearts, and we're conscious and self-aware, and we can think of infinity in terms of why, and reason with it, and connect with it through the sundial, staring at the sun, opening the heart, and become one with it. So I believe that this notion of tetragrammaton, because the notion that is being developed by the heritage of this region and this beautiful culture, is that it's only one tetragrammaton, is one creator that creates everything else. But in reality, I think because we're infinite, it's not only one thing that creates infinity, it's infinity replicated through us, So we all tetragrammatons. Each human is a tetragrammaton, is an infinite creator from a biological point of view. So that's my notion, that's my belief, and that's because we're infinite energy, we're light spherical beings. So you see, each of us, each individual is a tetragrammaton, is an infinite creator. We create life. And the polarization is there, the electromagnetism is there, the human sperm and the egg, the female and the male coming together, the polarization, positive, negative, coming together and creating life, which is the two inverted tetrahedrons, forming the star tetrahedron and spinning it, which is life, energy, motion, movement. And then that generates the sphere, which is life itself, the electromagnetic field. You see, gravity comes as a result of polarization. Electromagnetic field comes as a result of two polarization, positive and negative, coming together in spin and angular momentum and generating gravitational forces, gravitational pull, angular momentum, spin. And that's the sphere. The sphere is motion. The earth moves around existence, the sun moves around existence, we move, it's all energy, it's all flow. So this is who we are. We're infinite tetragrammatons, we're infinite creators, because that's what it is. Tetragrammaton is a creator. So we are creators and we're infinite. So what I decided to do is, just based on why and objective reality, is taking this notion of tetragrammaton, which is the creator, and apply it to each individual, because we all energy, we all infinite creators at a biological scale, and we create with our hearts, with love. Because if you think of the geometry of it, then you have 8 star tetrahedrons. So if you wanna, so the seed of life is this idea, right? The zygote, where life forms. The human life, the purpose of life. You see, the seed of life is this ancient geometric figure that also developed in that part of the world, that area of the world a long time ago. So is this notion of this the seed of life is the seed of life, creation itself, right? So biology, us, the human cell coming together and forming the heartbeat and life, biologically speaking, conscious life, self-aware life, tetragrammatons, us, each individual, the human heartbeat, the human heart, the human mind, creating, is being part of infinity. So the seed of life is this, is like, it starts with a circle, and then you split 2 circles, and then you start to draw. You can draw it in 2 dimensions, and then that forms in this idea of the flower of life, which, if mathematically speaking, the flower of life is all these circles inside a bigger circle. And that is actually from a biological point of view, when you're creating life, if you look at biology, us, with a microscope, when the cells are splitting and duplicating and generating, so life is forming. When we reach the flower of life, that's when the heartbeat forms. The heartbeat forms when we form the flower of life. Biologically speaking, all these groups of cells coming together and forming 64 groups of cells, little spheres coming together and then the heartbeat comes as a result of that polarization. That's the first the heartbeat, the electrical signal that creates life itself, our biological creator, the heart, that generates electromagnetic field that allows us to be an tetragrammaton, comes as a result of this group of cells that we draw as a flower of life, which is this 64 circles inside a bigger circle, which is a human cell, like this organism. All these cells coming together, bigger than a zygote, is a critical stage of life when the heartbeat forms, right as a result of the motion of all these cells coming together, which is life and creation itself. So if that's the 2-dimensional view, the flower of life, that starts with the first circle, it's 1 circle that splits into 2. It's 1 cell into 2, that's 2 circles, and then that multiplies 2, 4, then 8, 16, 32, 64, that goes like that, and that process goes from 64 to 64 to 64 to 64. It splits, 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 splits. So the flower of life is the seed of life is the original circle that splits and forms the star tetrahedron, this this eight, which is what I just told you, the tetrahedron inverted polarity of a sphere. So you have one cell, the zygote, splitting into 2, then splitting into 4, then splitting into 8. That's the seed of life. But biologically speaking, all's creation. And you can look at it in a two-dimensional way with drawings, and we call it the seed of life. You can Google it and you will find it. But then that seed of life grows into a bigger thing, which is 64 spheres, 64 circles within a bigger circle, and that's what we call the flower of life, which is this moment when the heartbeat forms. You see, the flower of life is the flower, is the heartbeat forming, and then life just starting from there independently, and then the cells just start to reproduce in sets of 64, 64, 64, 64, 64, and then the human body forms, and then we're born. But it starts with this original zygote, which is the two tetrahedrons coming, the human sperm and the egg, and the polarization of it coming together and creating it in the first place, which is a zygote, the seed of life. Because it's the tetrahedron is these 8 cells, which is the seed of life. You see, these eight things coming together. 1 divides into 2, 2 into 4, 4 into 8. You see the star tetrahedron at a biological scale of geometry. You can see it with a microscope, and then that multiplies from 8 to 16, 16 to 32, from 32 to 64, and it forms into a group. And that, if you look at it, the visual in 2D is the flower of life, but in 3D is a sphere, full sphere with all the parts and all the components. And in a biological sense, you can see it in this group of cells that eventually turns into the heartbeat and life itself. So hence the flower of life. This is an ancient idea, but it's biology with geometry and energy polarized into existence, which is tetragrammaton and the origin, the creator, you see. So now let's talk about it, because that's just so you understand what it is. But in reality, it's much deeper than that, because 64 comes from 8. So a star tetrahedron is 8, right? So this, geometrically speaking, we form this bigger sphere, the polarized, the electromagnetic field, which is a heartbeat, comes from 8 star tetrahedrons. So the original star tetrahedron that forms, the two coming together, forming the original spin, right? Then that doubles, that multiplies into 2, then into 4, then into 8. So it's 8 times 8, right? Because each star tetrahedron has 8 sides. So 8 times 8 is 64. 64 sides, they all in alignment, geometrically speaking, spatially speaking, they all moving outward. So from 1 to 2 to 4 to 8 to 16, so they expand, and those 16, those 8 times 8 sides, each is 64, and that's the flower of life, and there's the sphere in it, and you spin it, it's gravitational, it's the human, is generates life. It's the flower of life, it's creation itself, and it's all a sphere. So it's the actual structure, is the geometric structure of the sphere, the mathematical geometric structure of the sphere. Because if you think of a sphere, it's just this surface, right? 360 degrees, but if you add volume to it, it's a sphere. So it's just this thing. But it's like if you for example, let's just break it down into normal terms, you make a bubble, and then you blow it and then it forms this sphere, right? But it's just a sphere, it's just a surface. But what's in it, right? Because if you punch it, there's nothing inside. It's just a sphere, right? It's kind of empty. It's same with a balloon. You blow a balloon and then this air, right? What's that air? That's the structure of the vacuum. That's the structure. It's the organizing part of creation. Is the organizing part and the organizing structure of creation itself, tetragrammaton. The energy of creation that makes the sphere, the gravitational force, the energy, and the structure, geometrically speaking, is that what I said, A star tetrahedrons coming together, mathematically speaking, and that at a molecular scale, biological scales, forms into spheres and energy and torque and spin and angular momentum and singularity and this beautiful thing that we call life, creation, electromagnetism, the pulse of life, the pulse of creation, is this motion. But geometrically speaking, we can build up a sphere from triangles. See, it's a fundament. That's why it's tetrahedron. Is the foundation of creation is geometrical, and then we can observe it biologically in the way that I said with the cells as they form the fetus in the human embryonic development onto Genesis. And it starts with life and the seed of life and the creation itself. So it's beautiful. You see, this is our story. And each of us is a tetragrammaton. Each of us is an infinite creator. Each of us is an infinite eternal creator. And this is the idea behind this visual. We're all infinite tetragrammatons. All of us, each of us is a tetragrammaton. Each of us is an infinite creator. Infinite eternal creator. We have the ability, we have the seed of life inside of us. We create life. If we are males, we carry the sperm. If we're females, we carry the egg, and the egg spherical. See, it's all connected. So we are life carriers. We're creators, biologically speaking, and there's geometry to biology because of volume and space and things. So this is what today's video is about, is understanding this notion that we are creation itself. Infinity created us, so we can be infinite creators just like infinity, but at a biological scale. Because we won't stop, as long as there are humans, which is in the foreseeable future will be forever, we will be creating, and there is no limits to our creation, because creations are infinite, they're limitless, they're endless. So this is today's video. Is a video about love, creation, energy, infinity, because this is who we are. We're infinite creators, we're infinite love. Humanity, I love you all with all my heart, with all my might. Remember who we are. We're infinite creators, we're infinite tetragrammatons. I love you with all my heart, with all my might. We are the citizens of the Republic of Planet Earth. We are the leaders of the Republic of Planet Earth. We are the defenders of the Republic of Planet Earth. We're here to love. We live to love. We love to live. To have purposeful life. To understand that we are creators. We're the seed of life. We're the flower of life. We're infinite creation. We create with our hearts. We're sundials. We stare at the sun. We open the portal. We build the bridge, our electromagnetic field of the heart and the brain as one with the electromagnetic field of the sun, so we can be creative and supercharge our brains and our hearts and our minds. It's beautiful, and we take action, purposefully the action, because we're compass. This is who we are. We're here to create, to have purposeful lives. We're a benevolent species, a heartful species. I love you all with all my heart, with all my might. I will be making one more video today.